Welcome to that spiritual, actual, factual answers to questions you're asking. You find them inside you, recite you, reciting the records of cash. We laughing, we drafting the passion through vary. It's time for that comedy, dramedy, all of the fanciest, catchiest acronyms. Listeners, listen, we traveling. Consciousness is always unraveling. The reading you're having is mapping you back to your natural habitat. Abracadabra, it's magic, let's basking it. To top it off, the host, all the classiest. Now, what were you asking for? All of the answers, what? All the answers.
I want to pull cards today, so we could pull for the listener and for you, maybe, and for whoever else. It'd be fun to talk to some dead people too. We haven't talked to dead people in a while, have we?
I don't think so. I mean, depends on how you frame that. Like, don't you kind of talk? No, you don't talk to dead people all the time. That's not a standard trope in your reality.
Well, I mean, in some healing sessions when people ask me to, but it's been a while since it's come up. I feel like we should talk to some dead people, pull some cards, and after chit-chatting, of course. And what other woo-woo shit can we do that's really not normal that people don't do? I could clear somebody's house with demons.
Just randomly, just arbitrarily pick a house. Just like look around. Hey, that house needs some clearing.
What if I pick a random address in a random city?
And see if, I feel like the actual clearing might be a little intrusive, but you could pick a random address in a random city and then just do a little remote view.
Oh, that'd be fun.
And just be like, yeah, I might send them a little postcard.
What's going on over there?
Saying, hey, so I accidentally found out that you have some entities. You want to have me come in?
By accidentally, I mean, I looked in a weird psychic way.
Specifically at your house, but it was random. But I mean, I get those postcards that look handwritten, but they're totally not all the time from realtors saying like, hey, are you still in? And it's always phrased like, are you still interested in selling? Like, we have no relationship, you and me. Stop acting like we do.
Yeah, we never chatted. You and I never had a coffee.
We never chatted. Hey, just following up.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're not. You're lying. I don't like lying.
I hate it. There's one woman I'm on her mailing list somehow, and the subject matter is every time from her business is scheduling your time this week.
Yeah.
As if we talked, we did a session, and now we have to schedule our next time. And I'm like, fuck you. We didn't schedule anything, bitch. Who are you? And now definitely we won't be scheduling anything.
Yeah, this feels dishonest.
I don't like it.
Yeah. What is... There's something like... I feel like I should be more reactive to like, I don't know, violence or racism, but I get hella like where I bridle when someone's just like marketing dishonesty, like makes me more angry. Like that, it like cold, like scam calls is the same thing. It's like, sometimes I'm just like, ha ha ha. But sometimes I'm just like, how dare you? You have no right to do this. Like, all I have to do is hang up, but instead I yell.
Totally. Oh, do you say it to them?
I have.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll answer. I mean, I have all kinds of jokes I like to do. If I'm feeling impish that day, I'll often just answer in an incredibly feeble voice, like, hello.
No.
And they always hang up if I do that because that's too feeble.
Really?
Oh, all the time. If it's a scam call, because it'll tell you on your phone, I'll sometimes go, hello. But my favorite is just to be just vague enough that I still keep them on the line. Like, what's up? What do you want? And then they'll say like, hi, we're calling about your, do you have a warrant out for you? Well, what's that? You got, okay, cool. Yeah. So you want the dollar? And I'll just respond to them confusingly enough that it keeps them on the line for a while, which is fun.
And then they go away because they're like, this person is crazy?
Yeah, well, then they'll be like, yeah, so you, I don't know if they're trying to sell me something or if they're trying to tell me I have a warrant out for my arrest, so I have to go get Target gift cards, which is a weird thing that they do. To pay the fine, you have to go get Target gift cards.
Right, I've had that one.
That makes sense. That's how the federal government works.
Right, that's reasonable.
The federal warrant in the state of Texas works with Target gift cards. But you act gullible, but also like not quite legible so that they have to work a little harder to get to understand you.
And then they get tired of that and leave you alone?
No.
They don't?
It doesn't do any good. It's just fun for a while.
Oh, that's so funny.
Just to see how long you can keep them on a line. Well, there are times when they'll just get frustrated and hang up after a little while.
My thing is, I like hearing this and having this conversation because my point of view is I want them, my MO is get rid of them as quickly as possible. And I hate that they're bothering me. And I'm so resentful that they're bothering me that I'm like, get out of my fucking life as quickly as possible. So engaging them, I appreciate that you would bother to take the time to engage them.
Yeah, it is my understanding there's nothing you can do to stop them, like to say, take me off your list. They don't give a fuck about your list or about FTC regulations or anything like that. Like, so you say it and they just hang up on you. If you say, hi, take me off your list, click.
Oh, I don't try to get them to do anything reasonable.
Or you just don't answer.
Yeah. I just don't answer. What I do is I don't answer.
That's the quickest way to get rid of them is to not answer. And then they'll just call back another time.
Well, I don't answer, but then you can block their number.
Yeah, but it's always a spoofed number. The number that they say they're calling from is a lie.
I know, but at least that number can't call me anymore.
Right. Sometimes it looks like it's coming from you. Have you ever gotten that one?
No.
Yeah. The number is your number. You're like, what? Or it's the same. It's real close.
One time I was getting all these calls and I went through my call log and I blocked every number that had been one of those. There were like 30 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And they stopped happening.
Oh.
This was a few months ago, actually, because I was like, why is this constantly happening? And then I just blocked a lot of numbers and then they left me alone. Now I'll get one like once every 2 weeks.
Oh, wow. Okay. This is good to know.
It seemed to work. I mean, ish.
I still get at least one a day, if not a few.
Really?
I mean, my Google phone filter will say occasionally, like, sometimes it'll screen it straight up without even saying scam likely, ring, ring, ring. It'll say screening in background, which is a little better. Who cares? This just got boring. It was interesting for a minute, and then it got boring.
I left the building a while ago. So here's where my head is. Let's do some like random spiritual shit. I want to talk to a dead guy.
Spiritual smorgasbord.
I want to talk to a dead guy. I want to pull cards for somebody or maybe everybody who listens. I want to like read Squeezel's history, something crazy. But like, what do you have? What ideas come to you? I like reading cards for our audience. That feels like a legit useful thing to do. Do we want to talk to a famous dead person maybe?
Oh, that's interesting. Man, what's coming to mind? I'm trying to think about like, here's a thought. Can you read the energy of something that has passed? But I was just on this work trip with some really fun people, and from the moment it started to where it ended, we were off with each other all three of us the whole time.
Yeah.
Like we were all.
I have it already.
Great. That's interesting. So you know what I'm saying? But it was like time and space and group is what I'm looking at. Like, what was the deal with 3 days ago, these 4 people or these 3 people?
You want the simple answer? Because I can give it to you right now.
Yeah.
But then we could get into it and see more specifics. I mean, the real simple answer, you're not going to like it.
That's fine.
Astrology.
Right. The other day was bad.
Yeah.
Astrologically.
Well, it was though. Like I felt it too. I felt it come in. I felt it shift out. It was very distinct for me. I could tell you how it was in my body. Anyway, but then
what days are you talking about?
Then of course I read about it and was like, oh, well, there you have it. Let's see. God, today is what day? Tuesday.
I don't fucking know. Today is Tuesday.
I know. I think it ended, the shittiness ended, I would say, Sunday, and it was happening maybe 4 or 5 days before that.
That makes sense. That's exactly. I mean, we were like Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It was just like it wasn't awful. We weren't fighting, but we kept trying to joke with each other, and the jokes kept kind of hurting a little bit.
Yeah.
Or people were getting their feelings hurt, but not really, but kind of.
Yep.
And it was like, what? We're better at this than this.
Yeah.
It's kind of how we were all feeling. Like we are all better at this dynamic than we are exhibiting.
Well, so we had a full moon.
Okay.
In Capricorn. Yeah, in Capricorn. And then we had 4 planets in water signs. And water is the most emotional, sensitive, feely of the types of the signs, of the elements. That's the word I want. And so it's interesting because I'll tell you how I experienced it just as a metaphoric way to talk about what you're talking about. And then also we could get in there and look at get some specifics on it if you want. But so as a person myself with water in my moon position, so how my inner emotional nature is watery, Pisces. When all these 4 planets went into water signs, I felt so comfortable and nurtured and safe and like, the universe is supporting me and I feel so watery and wonderful. But I was being a dick to like a bunch. So like, it's almost like because I was so comfortable, I was like, well, is that why? No, that's not a true statement. Let me back up. I was feeling comfortable, but my reactivity was higher because there's so much water and so many feelings and so much access to it. Like almost you could argue too much or just a lot. So like, I'll tell you what happened. Sunday when it shifted out, I had this thought. I was in this bathroom right behind me and I thought.
Were you pooping?
I was pre-poop.
Okay.
I was about to poop.
Great. This is important.
I was being so rude to that one girl, and I was really impatient with that checkout lady. And why did I need that guy at this clothing store to know he was annoying me? It was like 3 people that I had been like, you're annoying, I hate you, and I'm not going to be polite to your ass. And it was like, what happened? And in the moments that it was happening, I was very like, justified about it.
Right.
And then in the bathroom, pre-poop, I was like, that's not nice. But it was very like, it was literally like a door was closed for those 4 days and then a door opened and I went, oh, I'm sorry, everybody.
That tracks.
But it was not available to me.
That totally tracks. Like we were having a good time and we were laughing and joking a lot and there was a lot of really good laughter. But then there was this constant moments of like, no, it's not what stop. What do you, like the person who was driving we were like, is he drunk? Like his driving was really erratic and he wasn't drunk. You know, it's just like, everything was just like, wait, I'm not, no, you didn't tell me that.
Yeah.
Like everyone's ill-fitting shirts, you know, like.
Yeah. Oh, I'm dying to know who it was, but you can't tell me.
I'll tell you later. It's fine.
Can you put it in the chat?
Yeah. I will.
I have a guess. Can I guess?
Of course.
I'm going to first guess. Okay. Driver, that person. Nope. Damn it. I was just willy-nilly. Okay, that was my next guess, but okay.
Yeah. And then the other person was who you just typed.
Okay. And then who else was it?
And then
was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it was weekends.
But the first day it was just those 3, me and those other 2 people, and then more people added. And like, yeah, no one was wrong, but everyone was just kind of chunky. We just couldn't quite get it together with each other emotionally.
Yeah.
And luckily, like everybody in that are all really like, they care. There's a really good, there's love between all those people. It's a really collegial group. So everyone knew that's what was happening. So that was an interesting dynamic to notice. Like I was hurting someone's feelings consistently, or at least he was jokingly reacting like I was, but that felt kind of true too. And I was like, you were taking everything I say as a hurt.
Yeah.
And like, wow, instead of this sort of boop, 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 pew, pew thing that we usually do.
Boop, boop, boop.
Pew, pew. Instead, they were true darts of barbs of pain and hurt.
Yeah, I get that. I really get that.
Well, it's good to know that I'm cool with it being astrological because especially if you noticed it too. So, okay, so this is just a question about astrology because it has to do with star positions and planetary positions, right? How much of that is regional or geographic? Like on the other side of the planet, that's not what's going on, right? Because they have different star charts.
Mm-hmm. Well,
at that time.
Yeah, but also think about how small the Earth is in conjunction to.
That's true. The relative angles are still the same.
Yeah.
And it's day night rather than like we have a completely different set of stars. No, because you don't see them.
Yeah, I would say it something like this. This is how I get it. It's like if you think about what's the point on the Earth that's the exact opposite side of the planet of, say, the middle of the U.S.?
I don't know, Australia. But they always say you're digging a hole to China, so.
Yeah, okay, fine. So let's say China or Australia. I perceive it like this. Let's say you go into 4 planets that are watery, and over here it's the planets are a little closer to us because of where we are in the spin of the Earth. Those 4 planets that are watery are still going to affect China and Australia, just differently, slightly differently, because of where they are in the rotation of the spin, therefore where they are in relationship to those planets. Does that make sense?
Somewhat, yeah. I did just look it up and I found a cool ass map that is called the Antipodes map, where you can like pick a point and it'll tell you what the antipode of that is, which is the antipode, the opposite point on the Earth. I love that.
Okay.
So like directly opposite me here in Oakland is water. Just off the coast of the southeastern tip of Africa.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Closest thing is the island of Madagascar. That is wild. These are cool things to know. I don't know why.
These are cool things to know.
I would actually love to know if there is some, I don't know, like energetic or spiritual relationship between antipodes.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, I don't know if you can ask about that. That's my question for the day. Just like, what's the deal with antipodes?
All right, so here's our plan. We're going to ask about antipodes. I want to talk to one dead person, and we're going to pull cards for our listeners.
Hells yes.
I'm going to tell a quick story. I've had another couple people who come to me for house clearings lately.
I love it.
Who the house sold 2 weeks later. The house sold the next week. Like they're struggling to sell the house. I do the clearing. Boom, house sells.
Damn.
I'm kind of loving this.
That is awesome.
Right? Isn't that fun? I love like practical outcomes. I also had a lot of people this past week in healing class email me and be like, everything changed and oh my God, and it's so different and what the fuck and wow. And that's nice. I guess that's the whole story.
You're still in the travel right now, right? And because you delayed until after a certain date?
Yeah. I wanted to wait till after the 17th and it has passed. And now what's difficult is that I can't really, like with the way my work schedule is, I don't have enough hours in the day to leave until Friday.
You have to have like 24 hours of no work in order to get home.
Or like 10 hours or like 6 hours at least to do like 6 and then 9 or because it's 15 hours.
Right.
So if I were to leave anytime before Friday, I'd be doing like 4 hours and then the next day 4 hours and then the next day 4 hours or 6 hours so that it's a 3-day trip instead of a 2-day trip, which is more hotels and more time on the road. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if I leave Friday, I could do a 6-hour chunk and then Saturday can be like 10 hours. But 10 hours is a long fucking time. So I'm still kind of debating maybe Thursday night. I don't know. I don't know. But my point being, I feel like I'm overstaying my welcome a hair where I am because they're like, no, stay. It's great. And I'm feeling a little like I'm sleeping in your living room still. And we're all a little, where's my bedroom? And who's this lady? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Do you have a recent experience you can?
No, you just said the thing about where's my bedroom and it just triggered me into like the travel that I was just doing, how no sleep.
Oh, really?
Because terrible, just bad vibes. Like the Airbnb, the space itself was great, but the sleeping was awful. Awful.
Oh, awful. That's terrible.
So happy to get home to my bed.
Good for you. You know that feeling where you're like people are getting up around, you're on a couch and people are like doing their morning.
Oh God.
Like near you because they have to go to work and they have to do their coffee and you're just there and there's nowhere else to be. And then you're like, oh, I'm an asshole and making their morning have to be quiet.
Right.
But then like, I'm mad at them because I'm like, I'm fucking sleeping over here, but you can't be mad at them because it's their house. So it's just that situation. And it's fun too. We're having a lot of fun at night and doing social stuff and I'm happy to be here. And there's other cool businessy things we're pulling together that feel good. including real estate stuff, which I'm pretty excited about.
Nice. I know. You were saying
Yeah, that's exciting.
your new empire is hatching.
Ooh, we should clear the way for the empire to happen.
Let's actually get rid of the word empire.
I like it.
I just realized I hate the word empire.
I'd like to have an empire. I like empire waisted dresses. What if it's can we call it a benevolent?
Well, actually, that's pronounced empire when it refers to the waist of the dress.
Oh, I hate you a lot. I hate
Good.
everything about
That's
you.
what I need.
What if it's a benevolent empire?
Well, then it's more of a network.
I don't like you anymore. We can't be friends.
God, just empire makes me think of colonialism, and then that's it. We're done.
Okay. I like benevolent empire. You know what I like about it? We're taking the word back.
There you go. Nice job.
Instead of being like, the word is dead because not one guy, lots of guys. All right, what should we do first on our spiritual list?
Okay, wait. We're dead people. Somebody. We're just gonna randomly talk to a dead person. Are we gonna look up a random address and see if we can find?
Well, that doesn't feel really very interesting for anyone.
Especially because you'd be like, 227 North Main Street, Peoria, Illinois. Nope, there's nothing there. Great. What's next?
Yeah. Or like, oh, there's a dead guy. I moved him. And everybody's like, that's not my cousin or my house. Why do I care? Nobody cares. So somebody dead that everybody would give a shit to hear from.
Okay.
3-card spread for the listeners. And what was the other one? The Antipodes.
The Antipodes.
Do the Antipodes mean anything?
Yep. The dead person wanted to be someone beloved that's in the afterlife that we're like,
yeah.
What do they have to tell us about whatever's going on?
And maybe not someone who's going to be annoying for my nervous system when I have to feel into them. Like if we pick a comedian, they're going to be all full of cocaine and like butt sex juice. And I just don't have, it's the morning.
So something a little.
Nothing wrong with butt sex. I'm just saying, I don't want what's his name's butt sex juice in my soul right now.
Now I want to know who you're talking about, but I don't know what's
talking
his
about
name. Louis Anderson. I don't know. I'm thinking about
Sam Kinison.
Oh yeah, you did channel Sam Kinison once.
Yeah,
that was a little.
I felt
much.
his butt sex juice. Believe me. Metaphorically. He didn't have any butt sex juice on him. It was just like icky vibes where he was a dark dude. Okay, so
yeah.
How about while you're looking, I'm gonna pull 3 cards for the listeners.
Okay, great. And I'm thinking about who I want to hear from.
I'd really like to open Squeezel's records and ask some questions, except every time I do, I get the same answer. She's happy, it's good, calm down.
Yeah.
I need to eat one more dried apricot, everybody. It's so good. You ever eat dried apricots?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then I can't stop. If you get the good ones that you like.
That's the business.
Yeah.
All right. I'd like, I'm going to do this out loud. Conscious awareness going to tap me into the Akashic records of everybody, all of our wonderful listeners who listen regularly, our fans and our listeners. We love them so much. When you tap us into the records of those guys, and as I'm tuning into the Akashic records of our group of very awesome, loyal, attentive listeners, I'm asking the record keepers of that group of people for a 3-card spread about their lives that would be useful to everyone. Keeping in mind, which we know you know, but they will hear this on Saturday or later. So what information would be useful for them to hear Saturday or later? Everyone who listens to our podcast. Okay. All right. So we've got these 3. Well, that's nice. Look at that. Okay. All right. Everybody who listens. First of all, thanks everybody for listening. Like it means so much to us that you guys give a shit to hear us say words. Like Desmond was showing us new numbers. I guess we like doubled in something in some time. Do you remember what that was? What did he say? I'm so bad at.
It was like a 50% increase. It went from like 1,000 to 1,500 or something like that downloads in a month.
It was real fast. I thought he said 500% increase in a day.
Oh, maybe that's what it was.
Which really just means we had a good day.
Yeah, one day where everyone went a little nuts.
All right, I'm going to read this. Are you ready, Cass?
Yes.
Okay. So we have, everybody listening, a 3-card spread for what's been going on in your recent past, what's happening in the present moment, and what is the outcome around the corner. The recent past, we have the commitment card, and it's two hands, one above the other, with a star in the middle between them. I love the commitment card. It's very pretty in this deck. The present moment is literally my favorite card in the entire deck. It's called the Coming to Life card.
Nice.
It's like a Renaissance dancer lady with a light orb in her hand, and she's in a real like dancey pose, celebrating life.
Nice.
And then the outcome is the Spirit of Place card, which is a tricky, complicated card that we'll talk about. So here's what's happening. In the recent past, everybody listening, you have had some kind of energy around this. A true commitment is a responsibility of the heart, mind, body, and soul. This is a good time to make one. Partnerships formed at this time are harmonious and powerful. The commitment card also indicates the natural evolution of a relationship from its inception to a literal or metaphorical marriage. At the very least, there is a promise of fulfillment in some form. However, you must be conscious of what you're committing to. Be clear about the nature of your commitment and your responsibility to it. Others are more willing to enter into partnerships at this time. Remember that your partnership with spirit and the highest version of your own self will engage the highest self in another. So in the recent past, there's been some kind of commitment that's been up. Other people are more ready to make it, but you're encouraged to dive in. It's a good time to do it. Commitment has been on the table in some form or fashion. Which brings us to the right now, where in theory you are all coming to life. Something beautiful is being born in your life. When you look at your life, can you see how you've grown and evolved over time? Perhaps you've shed skins and identities and created new ones, or at the very least matured in your ideas about yourself and the world you inhabit. You know things take time, and Spirit's timetable is rarely in sync with your own. This card indicates that a long-held dream is beginning to show signs of life. You must try not to coax it along or shape it according to your desires. Spirit knows the best form for the manifestation of this dream, and your life can become even better than you could possibly imagine. Now is the time for reverence and awe. Allow the contours of your path to be carved by the hands of the divine. All you have to do is show up. I feel like I have to read that entire thing again.
Okay.
I missed some of it. Here's where we are in the present moment. When you look at your life, can you see how you've grown and evolved over time, Cassidy?
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps you've shed skins and identities and created new ones, or at the very least matured in your ideas about yourself and the world you inhabit.
I just recently said, like just 2 days ago, I was saying to somebody in not a conflict, but a situation that we were going through. I said, yeah, I'm a different person now than I was then.
I love that. Nice.
And I am, and I still have remnants of that person and I would like to shed them, but I am a different person now. So I feel like that's kind of what you just said.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay. It says, things take time and Spirit's timetable is rarely in sync with your own. This card indicates that a long-held dream is beginning to show signs of life. You must not try to coax it along.
Ooh, that's a hard one. That is an interesting one. Don't put the energy into it.
Or shape it according to your desires.
Oh, God.
Spirit knows the best form for the manifestation of this dream, and your life can become even better than you could possibly imagine. This is a bold statement.
Right. Okay. So, you are, creating this empire, and it's don't try to coax it along, but you're like, do I stop taking steps towards creating the thing that I am creating?
No. Here's what it means. That's a great question. It's like they're talking about how we hold it. In other words, let's use me as an example. We've been seeing all these houses. We like this one and that one. We don't like these three. I'm seeing more tomorrow. Meanwhile, we're working on my credit score, pulling it up. It's doing well, etc. So we're in a process. So of course I keep seeing places. I keep holding in my body the vision of what we're looking to create. But I don't today, out of fear, compulsively make a choice and make a decision to make it happen. I stay in the journey, but I let Spirit kind of be a part of the journey so that things can kind of unfold way better than I can even see.
Okay.
Right now, it might seem like we have two options on the table. But after seeing tomorrow's houses, who knows? Maybe there will be one house that we're like, this was the one all along. So if I clamp down and control it now, I will miss out on something that would be more in alignment then.
Got it.
But it doesn't mean don't go to the audition, don't make the call. It doesn't mean don't do anything.
Right. That's the challenge. It's like allow what is unfolding to unfold and allow the things. That's the God sending you a boat, what is it? A boat, a helicopter, and it's like.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, you still get on the helicopter when it shows up.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay. The end of this says, now is the time for reverence and awe. Allow the contours of your path to be carved by the hands of the divine. All you have to do is show up. So just to our point of what we were just saying, you got to show up, but all you have to do is show up.
All right.
And the rest gets carved for us, as it were. All right. Well, that's where we are in the present moment. Now, let's dig into this outcome card. This is an even trickier one. Maybe I'm finally, after like 3 years of working with this deck, I think I finally get the gist of this card. It's taken me that long to be like, what the fuck is this card saying? Okay. Spirit of place.
Show me the picture again before you read it. Let me just, okay. So it's like a Johnny Depp looking face. I guess is leaning against a wall.
Or a tree.
But it also could be lying down on a rug.
But does it look like a tree behind them?
I can't tell in your picture, but yeah, maybe it's leaning up against a tree and there's flowers in its hair.
To me, it looks like a geisha woman.
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
Which could also be Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah, it's very Edward Scissorhands looking.
A lot of fall leaves in their person's hair and in front of them, but the rest of the picture is black and whitish. Yeah, actually, when I look at it here, it's hard to see in the camera, but they are leaning against a tree. They have butterfly wings coming out of their eyes, and they are under their chin is a mountain, and in front of them is a leaf, and then there's leaves in their hair. So it's very naturey. It's very woodland elfy. It's just hard to see on the camera. Okay, spirit of place. Authenticity is the essence of power. Our ancient ancestors believed that every place has a spirit looking after it or embodying it. Just as we have a soul, the plants, trees, birds, mountains, and rivers have their own essences. When the spirit of place arrives in your reading, it says that the answer to your query is in the overarching theme of your circumstances. Is your question about a struggle? The answer is to relax and let go of your need to control the situation. If your inquiry relates to finding love, then embody love rather than long for it. Once you find the essential truth that underlies your question and then name it, you'll discover the answer you've been seeking. Your greatest power is your authenticity. There's a lot of shit in there, doesn't it feel like?
Yeah, I think I understand, but I think we should definitely
read it again.
Or just dig into it a little bit with her words.
Okay, I'd like to hear it again.
Okay.
So here's what she says. It's called the Spirit of Place card. Authenticity is the essence of power. Okay, so far I get that. Authenticity is the essence of power. You gotta be authentic in order to be potent. All right. Our ancient ancestors believed that every place has a spirit looking after it or embodying it. Just as we have a soul, the plants, trees, birds, mountains, and rivers have their own essences. When the spirit of place arrives in your reading, it says that the answer to your query is in the overarching theme of your circumstances. The theme of your circumstances. So like, let's say your circumstances are, you want to use you or me to make this example?
Well, I think they explain it even better in the next sentence. It's actually more about the theme of your question.
The theme of your statement.
The answer lies in the theme of what you're struggling, of what you're asking about, or what your circumstances are the thing that you are needing answers on.
Guidance on.
Right.
If your question is your question about a struggle, the answer is to relax and let go of your need to control the situation, which is very similar.
So that the theme is struggle in that one.
Okay. And that's very similar to what we had in the Coming to Life card that was like, things are great. Don't control it. Just go with it.
Yeah.
Okay. If your inquiry relates to finding love, then embody love rather than longing for it.
So the theme there is love. Yeah. So like find the essence of your question and the answer is in the question. It's kind of like they're saying the answer is in the question.
Okay. Once you find the essential truth that underlies your question and then name it, you'll discover the answer you've been seeking.
Yeah.
Your greatest power is your authenticity. Meaning does that mean like if you authentically look at what the actual struggle is, you'll have the answer to the question?
Yeah.
Or the resolution to the struggle?
I think that's what they're saying. So,
but let me just ask a question, because this example about if you're looking for love, embody love, That's like a teaching that I've learned. People have taught me that before, and I forget it and then remember it and forget it and remember it. And it works well. But that's like a very specific piece of wisdom that has to do with a very specific thing. So if I were being authentic, if I were yearning for love and forgetting that I need to be more loving, just being authentic would not take me to that insight. I would need somebody to teach me that. So I don't get how authenticity connects to.
I think, well, maybe, I mean, the authenticity is just the knowing what it is you're really, what are you actually asking here? What is the heart of the matter? And be truthful about that. Like, what are you actually asking? What do you really want to know here? Or what are you seeking guidance on? And you get to the heart of that, and that granular thing is, and then you show up authentically within that context. It's a little squishy.
But do you see it's a little squishy, because if you're looking for love and you're authentic about that, I'm looking for love. How does being more authentic teach you gotta love in order to have love? Be loving. They're not connected. It seems like a weird sentence to come after that sentence.
Yeah, I agree that, yeah, I'm still more focusing on the first part, which I find very interesting, that the answer is in the question, which was my sentence, not theirs. But
okay. Spirit of place.
But like, I do appreciate that. Well, maybe that's okay. Okay, here's what maybe they're saying. They're saying it's not about action. It's not about like, okay, so I ask a question, how do I find love? Oh, you go to the store and you meet more people. That would be one answer. And then a different card might give you that. Like, at this moment, the way to get the answer to your question is to go do a thing or be more involved with this or da-da-da-da-da. In this case, it's saying, no, it's actually...
It's in the question.
Get inside yourself and be the thing that you are, and really be
with the essence of the problem, not the...
Be with the essence of the problem, and it's inside you that the answer is. So the answer is stop struggling. The answer is be love.
But how does this have to do with spirit of place?
That I don't understand. Maybe that's it. Where you are now, maybe it's about being...
But this whole first paragraph talks about our ancient ancestors believed that every place, like a physical place, has a spirit looking after it or embodying it. Just as we have a soul, so do the plants and trees. When the spirit of place arrives in your reading, it says the answer to your query is in the overarching theme of your circumstances.
Yeah, that just seems like a big leap of logic there.
I don't get it.
Like everything that comes after that moment, I get, but like, why does it have to do with like everything has a spirit and a place? It's like, well, why is that?
Okay, wait. Maybe this is it. I might have just gotten it. Maybe this is it. Like, okay. In the same way, the card might be saying that, I don't know, the Hudson Valley is about the divine feminine nurturing a very masculine, tormented landscape of New York State. In the same way that is the case about the Hudson Valley, the place in me that doesn't know the answer to my question is actually about X. Like it's an analogy. Yeah,
it feels like more like they're making that card be an analogy rather than a true like showing up of a type of spirit or a type of thing, which is a little frustrating.
I just think there's like 3 things in the card in the description, and they seem unrelated, and I get confused by the card. Recently, what I came to before today's reading about that card was like, okay, I get that this card is saying, what is the spirit of the question at hand? What is the true nature spiritually of this question? And by looking at what is the actual nature of the question, you'll discover what you're actually asking.
Yeah. So if my question were, I still have craps. My sleep is still crap right now. So if my question were, how do I repair my sleep? So then I'd have to go into the question. What is the essential nature of the question I'm asking?
Well, I have an idea about that for you. Like it's like yesterday I was clearing some stuff for myself that I was like, I really had to get, like we talked about last episode, I had to get really granular about what am I really asking here, like getting really specific. So in other words, if you say, how do I fix my sleep? The question might actually be something like, what am I holding on to that keeps me from sleep? Or what's going on with me that is creating the resistance to sleep or the challenge with sleep? You know what I mean? Like, what is it about you that's creating this or calling this in or awakening you to it or et cetera, et cetera? Does that make sense?
Yeah. It depends. It's a linguistic issue too. It's like, or am I asking, is the theme of what I'm asking about sleep rather than the theme being about something else. So then it's like,
I think the theme is something else, and that's the point of the card. In other words, you think it's about sleep.
right.
And it is, but the theme is, I don't know, self-hate, or I'm making shit up, or...
Right. Well, the thing that keeps coming up for me, honestly, on that question, every person, you in the reading, my acupuncturist that I went to, everybody keeps saying, oh, it's all stress. It's stress. And then I keep going, but I don't feel stressed. Like, so it's so frustrating because I'm like, I actually don't have that much stress in my life right now, but I keep getting feedback. My frozen shoulder, my sleep, you give me a spirit reading and it says, yeah, you gotta do something about this stress in your life. I'm like, where the fuck is the stress? So then that does go to the essential nature, though. The essential nature of my question is something about stress.
Yes, maybe. Yes, maybe.
So then I need to be more authentically really being able to see the stress that I'm experiencing.
Okay, maybe. Side note, stress can also be past. It can be stress from the past that is frozen in the body. And I know this firsthand as someone who all last week was clearing terror about lightning, which was really stress from the past of my childhood sexual abuse, where I was terrified as an infant and couldn't process the terror. So now the lightning hits and I'm like, ah, but it's really like my infant nervous system that's like, ah, because it never got to process that shit. So that is stress. It's just not like my life outside me right now is causing it.
Thank you. That helps.
Oh, good.
Yeah, because I've almost been like angry about that continued message. Like, what do I do with that? I don't have stress. So it's something else, like being able to discover and release old stress.
Yeah. What about here's something that comes to mind. All the years of being an actor before your recent years where you've had this whole shift around everything and all the stress of, is it going to happen? Am I going to get the job? What do I have to be? Who do I have to sound like? How do I have to dress? How do I have to fold myself into a shit? What shape do I have to fold myself into?
And that has been returning. So
it's very stressful.
And maybe it's my body reacting to that return, even though I'm not as engaged with it, but my body or my soul or my spirit or whatever my system is saying, uh-oh, are you going back into that? Because this does not feel good. Remember that?
Another way to frame it would be at the time of all those years before we were having these conversations and you were in therapy about it and whatever else, you didn't have a way you weren't acknowledging it as a stressor that needed to be processed. You were just shoving it aside and handling it, shoving it aside and handling it.
It's a necessary evil.
Right. So now it might be coming up in these ways. The body is always talking to us about something that's up and ready to move.
Right.
So it might be coming up so as to say, hey, that was actually really hard. What you do is hard, and you need to process it each time in the moment going forward so that we don't just keep accumulating more shit in your nervous system. When you're saying my spirit, my body, whatever, I get like nervous system. It's all in there from the past in the spine. And we could process that shit out and all the grief of all the lost roles and all the stress of all the comparison of yourself to other people. And it's a fucking crazy business we've been in. Do you know that most people just get hired once, go to a place, do a thing they get real good at doing that is not very hard anymore, and then just have a life outside of that?
Then they just do their fucking job. It's my fantasy of working at Trader Joe's. It's like, that's it. Just
exactly
get that job and be in that.
That's how much stress most people are living with. Oh, I hope I'm not late to work. And now I'm oversimplifying people's lives, of course. But when you've lived...
No, everybody has way too much stress in every direction. It's weird. It's fucked up.
Totally. It's very fucked up. We live in a terrible place.
So to return to the card... Oh, go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying there's not a lot of support in this culture for... Because you're doing a thing that's quote, quote, fun. Oh, you're an actor. How fun. Nobody values or honors or acknowledges how fucking hard it is. And exhausting and emotionally painful and hope and failure and every day.
Yeah.
And then no money, no consistent money. That's very stressful.
Right. And then no money even when you're doing it, there's no money. And it's like, ugh.
And even when you're making money, it's not enough money.
Yeah.
Except for when you are.
Yeah. So to return to the question, like if I, show up. Okay. So the authenticity thing, I'm putting it all together here.
Okay.
The authenticity of me saying, what are you actually asking? Actually, yeah, I already knew the answer to the main question, which is stress, right?
Okay.
Deal with stress. The actual question I already knew the answer to. So the actual question had to do with what the fuck are you talking about stress? So now I had to show up authentically to know, it's like, it's what they're basically saying. When
That's
you ask
true.
a question, it's like, what the question, what it is. And and it's like, what's the nature of the question? What do you mean stress? What are they always, why is everyone telling me I'm stressed is the actual question. And then the essential nature of that is then, okay, show up within myself. How do it means deal with your nervous system is the answer from within.
And you had to get authentic to discover that was the nature of the question, that was the nature of the challenge, not like a deeper level of authenticity is where you can say,
yeah,
fuck, I have been holding stress from the past.
Yeah.
Didn't mean to, I just am.
Right. And and also I think they're kind of saying it's an inward the answer to all the questions right now with this, if this card is to be listened to, is
an inside job.
It's an inside job.
So you're saying all the answers are within?
What? Shut up.
What?
Ugh.
Yeah, nightmare.
All right, great. That's me. Thanks, everybody, for letting me work out my shit.
Oh, my God. Now, back to everybody who's listening. Let's review.
All right, them.
Because this... this was about them. Okay. In the recent past, everybody listening, you had some kind of commitment theme come up where others were more ready to commit than you, and you want to be conscientious and aware of what are you committing to before you go in, but also it's a good time to make this commitment. And this is the recent past. Present moment, you're coming to life. You're just alive and coming to life. But also don't coax along what's happening with the life coming to. Allow the universe to take you where it's taking you, but stay engaged. All you have to do is show up. As you come to life, you show up for the things and spirit takes care of the things. And the outcome is everything we just fucking figured out. The outcome is, if you're struggling with anything, the answer is to authentically look at what is the real essence of this question? What is the real essence of this struggle? And get authentic and honest about what it is. And the resolution will begin to arise from there. It's a complicated read in that case.
It is very.
There's a lot going on.
I mean, I think I can draw a relationship between the present and the outcome. In they're similar. It's like, don't do. So the present is actually a little bit outward focused. It's like if something is, you're making something, you're doing something, don't
push.
Attack it, don't push. So that's outward world. But the result will be, or the outcome of that is then a state of inward work while the outward world is doing its job.
Yeah.
It's creating the struggles that will come up in relation to that task or that thing or that empire that you are creating.
Yeah.
Katie Rubin, the struggles that will come up are not going to be external. You might think they're external, but they're actually not. They're stuff that you need to get real clear with yourself to what you're struggling with.
That's good. I like that. Boomski boom. Namaste, motherfucker.
I was thinking you should talk to Thich Nhat Hanh.
Wow. Okay.
Who died pretty recently.
Oh.
He died like within the last 2 years.
Okay, now remind me. Thich Nhat Hanh, Taoism. No.
Buddhism.
Okay. Thich Nhat Hanh. Buddhist, monk, priest, man, woman, binary, non? What's going on? Help me out.
Man, Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh.
Zen master. Okay.
Wait, I think he died. I thought he died. Wait a minute.
I thought he did too.
Yeah, he died this year. Oh, he just died in January. Is that too fresh?
No, that's good. That's even better. They're closer at hand when they've just died.
He was a Vietnamese Buddhist, monk, peace activist, prolific author, poet, teacher, and founder of the Plum Village tradition, historically recognized as the main inspiration for engaged Buddhism. So what do we want to know? Do we just want to get a general like, hey, you got anything you need us to know? What do you want?
What does he want to say?
Yeah, just what do you want the listeners to know about the garbage fire that is our lives right now? No. I mean, yeah. If he of all people would be a useful balm for our souls.
For sure. Well, let's see what he's got to say about the nature of things that are occurring in time and space right now. How does that sound? Okay, grand. All right, Thich Nhat Hanh. How cool. Squeezle, you've got to move because I can't. I have to shift my body to do spiritual stuff and then I need you to move. She's like, but I'm comfortable. This dog, I'm telling you. Okay, is that Otto? Are you okay? Yeah, I know.
What's up, everybody? So I have a very exciting story to share. I think it's very exciting. So I have a dance class that I take in the park. It's outdoors. It started during the pandemic when we couldn't take dance classes inside. And so because it's outdoors, it only happens when the weather is warm. The class started back up when I was out of town. So now that I'm back home in Brooklyn, today was going to be my first class back since last fall. So I was very excited. So I was walking through the grass in Prospect Park on the way to dance class today, and I got stung by a bee between my toes. And so normally when I get stung by a bee, it all swells up. Everything swells up. It's just like I get stung by the bee on my face, and then I turn into that alien symbol, you know? Anyway, so I was like, no, it's my first class back. I was very sad for a second. And I reached down, I pulled the stinger out because the stinger was still in my foot. And I was like, what do I do? And then on the ground, right by the dying bee, was a weed that grows all over Prospect Park, which is actually a medicinal plant. It's called plantain. So there's two plants called plantain. One of them is like a banana, and as a Caribbean American, that plantain is very important in my life. But this is not that plantain. This plantain is, like I said, a medicinal plant that is like a broad, flat leaf. And I'm familiar with this plant because I was raised by hippies and I learned some plant medicine as a kid. Yay! Anyway, so here was the remedy to my bee sting reaction that was coming. Literally right next to the problem. And so I was like, I paused for a second. I was like, ugh, this shit is dirty. This is New York City. This is the ground. There could be dog pee on it. There could be everything in the world on this leaf. But this is an emergency. So I picked a leaf. I put it in my mouth. I chewed it up, made a poultice, a bright green, gooey blob of stuff. And I just put it between my toes. I hobbled over to dance class. I sat on the bench for about 10 minutes with my foot elevated. And my normal major swelling reaction didn't happen. And I was able to get up and dance for the whole class. And now everything looks just normal. So that's my plant medicine success story. Also, I just want to the deep thing to point out about this, which I know is a thing about plant medicine, is that like the remedy is always right next to the problem. So, and that was actually true in this case. The bee, unfortunately dying, was literally pointing me toward the remedy. So, you know, you could make something of that and go, or not, whatever. Anyway, Rami's rules.
Okay, I'm going to say the full prayer here to get into the records of Thich Nhat Hanh.
Okay. I mean, it's a high bar. Respect.
For sure. All right, so we do acknowledge the forces of light, asking for guidance, direction, and courage to know the truth as it is revealed for our highest good and the highest good of everyone connected to us. Amen. Holy Spirit of God, protect me, please, from all forms of self-centeredness and direct my attention to the work at hand. Help me to know Thich Nhat Hanh. No big deal. In the light of the Akashic Records, help me to see Thich Nhat Hanh through the eyes of the Lords of the Records, and enable me to share the wisdom and compassion that the masters, teachers, and loved ones of Thich Nhat Hanh have for Thich Nhat Hanh. I'll go quiet for just a moment. All right, will you deepen me into the Akashic Records of Thich Nhat Hanh? Well, okay, there's a bunch of things I'm aware of initially. So I'll just talk for a little bit and then we can throw that question out. The first thing is a feeling of real quiet, peaceful masculinity. Almost like, for me personally, it's like getting to taste in my body what it feels like to be connected to the divine masculine. And it reminds me of a couple people I've known who really embody that energy. There's a way that there's this thread of masculinity. I'm going to say more about what I mean by that word in a second. Through this, the center of this person's, ego, personality, but it's so purified by this compassionate mercy, this merciful compassion that it's interesting because I can feel the human and the divinity, or you could say that in this case, it's very much a lot to do with compassion, compassionate mercy. So I can feel the human man and I can feel the compassionate mercy merged into almost every cell of this human man's being and nervous system. And then it's like I'm taken up, high up into their soul alignment. And the first awareness that comes through is like, this person is not returning to a body. This person is done with having bodies. Like they're all set. And they were all set, I think, already. And they came back to teach. And they did that, and they succeeded at that, and now there's a new assignment for the soul. And the soul is really on board with this next level of whatever it's going to be doing. This higher frequency thing that has nothing to do with taking on a nervous system. Okay. They want me to talk about this. When you go to a temple, a Buddhist temple, say, that's been deeply steeped in, say, Buddhist compassionate prayer light, Buddhist compassionate prayer light, the light of compassion through the Buddhist lineage. When you step foot into that temple, the frequency of the prayers and the light in that space is of the frequency of those prayers. And so if you allow it to, the frequency of compassionate mercy will dissolve, will slowly, sort of like an ocean dissolving the hard edges of a rock. It will soften away the hard edges of you. But you've got to be willing to receive and let the compassionate mercy light all the way down and in and through you, into all your hard edges. And this is the same as what you do, Katie, with the Divine Light transmissions, and what anyone working with the light as a teacher is doing. Conscious awareness. Conscious awareness will also smooth out the rough edges of you. It will not make you into someone else, but it will smooth out the rough edges of you, making you into a very, as you were just discussing, authentic you. The nature of authenticity has to do with living with fewer and fewer defensive strategies and patterns. So it has to do with vulnerability and strength. And here's how. It is just as codependent to hide your strength as it is to hide your vulnerability. In other words, so many humans on the planet at this time are not being who they are in their entirety, in their strength, in their light. As I, myself, Thich Nhat Hanh, became more and more and more empathetic and compassionate and sympathetic, I also became stronger and lighter and brighter and more powerful. This is the real nature of the true possibility of what attunement to the frequency of love and light offers one. It's now they're taking me to, I'm sort of like sitting in this temple energetically that I was once in, that my dad's current wife, Susan, she goes to this temple. It's a Buddhist temple, I believe, and it's in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And when I went in, I was long down the path that I'm on. And she took me there once, and immediately I was taken into this, like the frequency of mercy and love in that space was so high and so nurturing. And there was this very thin reed, not thin reed, but like a gentle. If you think about what a puff of smoke looks like coming out the end of a piece of incense, sitting in an incense holder, that it's sort of like a dense line of smoke, but it's thin. So there's a lot happening in that line of smoke. It's dense. There's a lot of smoke, but it's a thin line. That was how it was like. That was what it was like for me to walk into that temple. I just was instantly receiving this like thin and potent, energetic smoke line of mercy and compassion. And it transported me into this very, very peaceful place. And then they show me that what was on the face of the temple, this particular temple I was at, like there was a statue, and then there's these carvings in the back wall, and then there's art, and the gold inlay, the gold, they use thin gold sheets of gold, and they paint it onto the buildings. I forget the right words for that. And when we look at these saints and Buddhas and images and carvings and paintings and mandalas and statues, we are, with our eyes, we are taken even more deeply into the frequency of compassionate mercy. But notice how compassionate mercy is not separated from gilded, golden abundance. The temple is beautiful and ornate. This is a metaphor for what is available in a human life when one perfects one's form, when one aligns with the all that is. One is encouraged by source, spirit, conscious awareness to live well and live abundantly within one's means and abilities, while being compassionately, mercifully unified with the love. These are not separate. This is why we have you gild the lily of your temple. This is why we have you paint them in thin sheets of gold. To understand oneness is to understand there is no separation between the material and the spiritual, or the ephemeral, or the etheric. In a certain place within the midline of your own body, at the center, the core line of you, you can feel this right now. There is a peace and an elegance and an alignment and a mercy that is also wealthy and beautiful and abundant. They are one and the same. And so I'm now asking, Katie here, what words would you give us as a human race about, like, how are we to understand what's happening in the collective right now? What words do you have, again, that might be helpful to us about all of the polarity and the fighting and the lies and the news and the whatever, politics and the deaths and the shootings and the fucking fires and the storms and the everything? Well, first of all, they're validating. They're like, you already know the answer to this question. You speak about it all the time. And then there's this part that I don't like to look at, me, Katie, that they're showing me. So the part he's reiterating is that this is a time of tumult and tumultuousness, turmoil in this world, because as the consciousness of the planet has elevated and activated and risen to a higher frequency herself, everything that is not, when you start to bring light to a body, to a conscious body, aka in this case, think about your own body or think about the earth as a body. When you bring light to a system or to a body, it shows you, aka pulls up, everything that is not of that light and everything that is keeping separation alive, everything that is keeping war and conflict and stress and strife alive. Everything that's holding it in place gets kicked up inside of yourself when you transmit light into your pain or trauma. Similarly, as the planet activates and rises in consciousness, she is filled with and activated by so much more powerful divine light. So all the lower self and the shadow aspects of humanity are up. They're kicked up. There's a metaphor they used to give me all the time to say to clients, which is like, think of yourself as you're on a healing path as being a still pond in a dense forest. That still pond sits in the dense forest for 45 years, and it's collecting moss and algae and bear poop and water and leaves and twigs and mud and rain and all the things that a pond would collect in a forest in 3D reality. Well, one day I am a firefighter, and I come into the forest with my fire truck and my fire hose of purified Evian water in my magic fire hose. And I spray with my fire hose into the pond of you, this pure water of light. Everything in the pond that has collected along the edges of the bottom of the pond and that has seeped into the cellular makeup of the pond is going to get kicked up, and now all the algae on the bottom of the pond and the dirt and the dust is moving around every molecule of water, and it's all chaos in there because the light is flooding the pond, and everything that isn't light is getting washed up and washed out. Eventually, if you do that long enough, you spray a fire hose of light long enough into a pond of muck, you will have a clear pond, once again, filled with simply clear water that is not contaminated by anything that time and nature bring. But in the meantime, you're going to experience a fair amount of tumult. You know, algae coming off the bottom of a pond doesn't always come off easily. It kicks and screams as you try to flush it out. So you also have to understand that some parts of the algae maybe don't want to go. So the fire hose has to be even more insistent, even more powerful in its efforts. So this is where humanity is. This is the thing we've been talking about. All of the light workers and peacemakers in the world have been talking about for a long time, and it's really, really present now. So the part I don't, Katie, like to look at is that we are at, according to Thich Nhat here, we are at a turning point in humankind. I mean, this is a big moment where, and you have to understand that from the perspective of time, space, and the earth, and the galaxy, and the universe, a moment can stretch over eons of time, right? A moment is not what you call a moment like this. But you're seeing the intensity of the current moment is a manifestation of all the denial up into this actual moment over the long-term moment that you're in. In other words, you are at a choice point as a race. Will you align with source, with mercy, with compassion, with abundance, with joy, with communion, with service, with contribution, with, even if you're not a communal type or a tribal type, you can be individual in a way that serves the collective. Or you can be individual in a way that does not. And so, where will you point the radar of you? Where will you point your intentionality as a race? This is the question. This is the choice point moment. Katie, I tend to be in denial. I like to go to denial about how big a deal the choice point we're at is, because it's easy to get negative and cynical about what humanity will choose. And it's so upsetting to me personally to think that we would choose to destroy ourselves just through apathy, just through giving no fucks, just through laziness. That we would destroy ourselves from apathy, laziness, avoidance, and fear. Ego, separation, the need to be right. It's so upsetting to think we would destroy ourselves. It's for those reasons that I like to just be like, it'll be okay. And here with Thich Nhat Hanh's being is like, interesting. Will it? You'll have to choose for it to be so. A lot of you. Lastly, he's like, remember, you all get so confused about truth and mercy. Mercy does not disclude truth. The truth is the most merciful thing because it's direct and to the point. It saves you time and it desires to help you. The truth is not cruel unless it is delivered cruelly. But you have a misunderstanding about mercy and truth in your culture, a widespread misunderstanding. You are attuned to the frequency of codependent enmeshment. It's almost the central underlying problem of humanity. When the entire collective is so codependently enmeshed with the need to please the other by not telling the truth, you create the shadow aspect to that lie. Or you could say the resistant polarity, the other side of that polarity is rage. And then you have war. Think of it this way. If, let's use China or North Korea and South Korea. If they have to be nice to each other and make nice, but they're not happy and they don't want to be nice. They have issues to discuss. And they don't that's a terrible example, North and South Korea, but let's just think it's any two warring bodies. And actually, from Spirit's perspective, it's not a terrible example. There are issues to discuss and truths to be shared. And if they were shared and received well on both ends, a conclusion could be found. Everyone's needs could be met. But when egoically one side or both sides stick to an egoic need to prove one's superiority to the other, well then, they must necessarily separate. And if the other doesn't want to separate, then you have to separate through pain and death and war and guns.
I hate to reduce it to this, but it sounds like couples therapy. Like you have to tell the truth in a context that allows both truths to exist.
Correct. And you have to be open-heartedly, mercifully, compassionately willing for the other to get to exist alongside of you in another way.
Yeah.
God forbid you be different from one another. Everyone thinks that in order for there to be peace, we all have to be the same, or we have to agree. We do not. We can be respectful and kind and compassionate and merciful and disagree. That's called collaboration. That's called interdependence. That's called coexistence. So this is why, we, the Thich Nhat Hanhs of the world, bring to this dimension these frequencies of compassionate mercy, because if everyone on the earth were to soften the hard edges internally, they could each understand and awaken internally to the awareness we're speaking of now, which is I can be South Korea and you can be North Korea, and we can have different priorities and we can coexist and nobody has to dominate anybody else. But if you don't live with compassionate mercy and love at the core of your being, you can't imagine a world like that. And so first we have to transmit all of this compassionate mercy and hope that people choose to receive it.
Yeah, because in a polarity, the metaphorical North and South Korea, if just South Korea goes, okay, I open my heart to the softness of the awareness of both of our existences, but North Korea doesn't, that's real dangerous for South Korea.
Correct.
So like it's that moment where we have to come to that thing together at the same time,
It's a big ask.
And that's scary.
It's a big ask of the human race.
And dangerous for the softening one.
And it's so tempting each time you go softer and softer to go hard again in the face of someone else's hardness.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was fruitful.
Yeah. I have to wrap up sometime soon, so.
Okay. Oh, so do I. I didn't even see what time it was. I have to go now. All right, let me close the records of Thich Nhat Hanh, and I guess we'll do whatever the third thing was another time. Oh, Antipodes.
Oh, yeah. I am curious about that. Okay.
Okay. I want to thank the masters, teachers, and loved ones for their love and compassion, the lords of the records for their point of view, and the Holy Spirit of light for all knowledge and healing. As that you return all of Thich Nhat Hanh's energy to itself. As that you return Thich Nhat Hanh to its complete wholeness in its own space, wherever it is. The divine portal and the Akashic records of Thich Nhat Hanh are now closed. Amen. The divine portal and the Akashic records of Thich Nhat Hanh are now closed. The divine portal and the Akashic records of Thich Nhat Hanh are now closed. Amen, 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 amen. Oh, squeezle dog, squeezle dog. That was delightful. Thank you for bringing Thich Nhat Hanh into it, because boy, that felt good to hang with that energy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love you.
I love you. Thank you for joining us today, Katie. What? Sometimes my sentences don't pan out.
But you're very pretty, so we let it happen.
Oh, thanks. It's coming out of a pretty face hole.
Okay.
All right.
I love you guys. Do your work, I guess.
I love you. Do all the work
All the work. Do it.
for all the answers. Bye.
What are you asking for? All of the answers? Say what? All of the answers? Yeah, all the answers.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. We'd love to hear from you. Please email us with your questions so that we have questions to answer in the Akashic Records. Our email address is allanswerspod@gmail.com. That's allanswerspod@gmail.com. And if you'd like to find us on Facebook or Twitter, it's @allanswerspod, @allanswerspod. Thank you.
A fair is a veritable smorgasbord, smorgasbord. After the crowds have ceased, each night when the lights go out, it can be found on the ground all around. Oh, what a rattly feast!
Mixed and edited by Desmond McNeese for We Mixed It, LLC. Go to whatsoundsawesome.com.